Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back once again, or for the very first time, to the Farts and Craps Show, where today I, your host Danjo, have an update for you guys about one of my best performing videos, and things have changed in the computer world since then, so I will start off with a little TLDR. Roll back the firmware on your Elgato HD60 S. That is the short version, and that's not nearly enough information, so let's get into it. Basically, what you want to do is you want to be on this firmware 1.1.0.172.9, and this is the most stable one that doesn't have the main downside to the latest firmware, which I believe is 1.1.0.192.7. So the problem with the recent one, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, if you're looking at it in device manager, it will say it's 1.1.1.172, and if you're really lucky, when you finally get on this firmware properly, whether you can roll back the driver, hopefully, or whether you have to re-download it and reinstall it, hopefully you will have all of these wonderful options that the HD60 S can actually do. This is really great. I mean, you have deinterlace options, like audio input options, scaling type options, some mirror options, data transfer pipe options. This really should be on every firmware of this device, but it's not. And I can't even get it to pop up consistently. I have been dealing with this pretty much all week, mainly for this series, actually, Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. And that's partially because of the signal type is mostly unrecognized, but the device I'm recording this from does output 720p at 60 fps, which should be pretty simple for most capture cards. However, there is an option that is baked into the firmware, every firmware after this one, and this is checked by default, although you can't see it most of the time. The auto resolution scaling and normalize output. Oh wait, RGB24/32 output. Man, my eyes are not so great right now. So basically what this means is, regardless of what you pick in Streamlabs OBS or just OBS, or it really doesn't matter what kind of software you're using, it is going to, well, actually, maybe not for Elgato's game capture software, but that's not good software at all. Anyway, it's going to auto scale to 1080p, essentially. So it's going to auto stretch. And this is not good at all, especially for capturing different sources that might have different aspect ratios. Even just capturing 720p hasn't been good because of this. So yeah, you want to uncheck that and reboot if you are lucky enough to get this on here. However, lately with Windows 10, And again, this video is going to be outdated, hopefully soon. Automatic driver updates have kind of been a problem, even if you disable them, like on advanced system settings. And if you guys are wondering about if you actually do have these options, if you're wondering about optimal settings, definitely de-interlace, keep it at weave, which is off. Scale type fit, I would recommend. And data transfer pipe, since it is a USB 3.0 device, go to bulk. Therefore, less bottleneck, essentially. And hopefully auto actually picks bulk if you are connected to a super speed USB port on your PC. Hopefully. I couldn't find a way to figure out testing wise exactly which one it was selecting on various firmwares, and I did try like 5 different firmware builds, which only 3 are available on Elgato's website, 2 of which I had to find on other websites. But yeah, and essentially over here on video capture device properties on Streamlabs OBS, I would definitely recommend the proper custom, first of all. The proper resolution, whatever your source is, FPS, typically with this device we're going to go with highest. Video format, I would leave it any. And if you're doing full color range, color space 709, color range full, use the other option if you're doing partial. And I mean, these are mostly like rule of thumb kind of things. So, and as you can see on this firmware, there are a lot of different resolution options, which is always appreciated. But yeah, if you guys are wondering where you can get this this firmware, they actually have an installer that works quite well on Elgato's website, elgato.com. So yeah, just navigate to the top right of the screen and click Downloads, and then select your device, and then down to under either Game Capture or 4K Capture Utility, where it says Find Hardware Drivers Here. Go ahead and click that Here button, and then scroll all the way down to the list. It's gonna just pull up a bunch of like all of the available firmware, installers and whatnot, zip packages or whatever, for all their devices. At the very bottom, they call it Elgato Gaming Hardware Drivers, older Elgato Game Capture HD60 S drivers. So even they know, like, firmware has kind of been a problem with this device. Now, I wouldn't bother with the one above the one I'm highlighting here. That would be 1.1.1. I don't remember which one. Anyways, on current Windows 10 builds, that one doesn't work at all, really. But yeah, the very bottom one, the one that says 3PS, just go ahead and click that, download. And in order to avoid the automatic driver install, which Windows might do, you might need to boot into safe mode without networking. That way Windows will be running less stuff, not being connected to the internet, and optionally you can also pause updates, but I found if I wasn't in safe mode and in Windows Update, if I paused updates, it would still automatically reinstall the firmware, the latest firmware, 1.1.0.192, even though I had rolled back the firmware previously on Device Manager, and yeah, it's bad time. It's bad time. even though I deleted all the leftover driver packages in the System32 folder, and a lot of things I wouldn't recommend doing manually, and cleaning unplugged USB devices, unplugged devices, uninstalled packages, and basically completely wiped any existence of other firmware. It's just Windows 10 really wants to reinstall firmware for connected USB devices. And yes, I left it unplugged when it was supposed to be unplugged, replugged it in, all that other stuff. Follow the prompts. If you don't want it installing, basically don't have it plugged in, and safe mode will be your friend in this regard. So if you boot into safe mode, install the older firmware when there's no firmware on your PC for the HD60 S. Once it's installed, then you can reboot normally. And Windows might, in fact, it probably will automatically try to update the firmware. But because you already had a previous driver, it should let you just roll back the driver in Device Manager. So, I mean, that's what I did. And it's worked every time. I've tested it numerous times. Yeah, and this is the one I ended up sticking with because I couldn't get the other firmware version or instance of having all the other options. But even if only this one pops up on the 3PS driver of 1.1.0.172.9, this firmware gives you all the different resolutions and doesn't have the scaling problem that subsequent firmwares have. And especially on the latest firmware, there is no way to uncheck that at all. Yeah. And as you guys can see, I am recording this in 1080p. And we got my PS4 footage over here, which is outputting at 720p right now. And I am recording this at 720p. So the footage is being captured unscaled at 720p. So there's no pixel stretching going on whatsoever. And then all the other resolutions are there and available for if you want to do those. So, yeah. And to give you guys an idea of, well, you know, is the auto-scaling thing such a problem? I will go ahead and deactivate the signal for a second, change the resolution to 1080p, even though it's a 720p signal, and I'll just let the results speak for themselves. Because, yeah, it's not good. And just to let you know, little photosensitivity warning, there might be some like flashing or visual glitches. Hopefully not, but it's definitely not going to scale well. So, and it actually might, well, it might not show anything. Yeah, it's actually not showing anything. Probably because I'm using the signal, or probably because the signal was just something else momentarily. But I could change the output to 1080p and then reactivate and see if it should pull it up normally. It's like, oh yeah, that does match the signal. Of course, it's going to pause and then flickering. But yeah, it captures normally now. Outputting 1080p, it told it it's 1080p, it is, and it's fine. So, yep, that's pretty much it. If you guys are wondering, about what theme I'm using. This is actually a free theme on PSN. It's actually for Final Fantasy 12, which is weird. I'm not even a big fan of that game, but Final Fantasy is one of my favorite franchises, so it gets a pass for me. It's Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age. Where's the full name? Yurit Village? Yeah, it's that one. Anyway, it's a free download on PSN if you want like a new PS4 theme. But yeah, and that's gonna do it for this video, everybody. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope this helped. I kind of narrowly avoided getting a brand new capture card because I've been having such just huge issues. This has been a headache that's been going on for, yeah, like I said, about all week. Probably more than a week now, actually. And it didn't used to be this way. About a year ago, the HD60 S was working much better with the previous build of Windows 10 and previous firmware, all that good stuff. And lately, yeah, I haven't been able to change the resolution, which was the first big problem. Various other things were, anyway, it was not good. So hope this was helpful, guys. Liking and subscribing is always appreciated. I tried to not, babble on too long, but try to cover everything. And as far as, and I know rolling back drivers that your computer doesn't have anymore, installing older drivers can be a bit of a headache, especially with Windows 10 how it is right now. So, but yeah, catch you guys on the next one, and I probably won't be fielding too many questions in the comment section, just to let you guys know on this video, but feel free to help each other out down there, post what worked for you, that kind of thing. And remember, please be civil, stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. So until then, have a great day.